So I came across a video years ago of Marty Friedman, the former guitar player from Megadeth, talking about Japanese-style improv, where he improvised that Japanese riff I was playing earlier. It just has a really interesting, uplifting yet melancholic sound. So I want to break down what's going on and show you how you can apply the tricks to improvise in this Japanese style. So progression starts off with a major 1 going to the major 3rd, like this. So there are two really iconic Japanese tricks happening here. Number 1 is the use of the major 3rd chord. So usually the 3rd chord of a key, in this case the E minor, is usually a minor chord. But in this case, Marty Friedman is making a major chord for E major chord to give it that kind of iconic, melancholic yet kind of uplifting sound you hear a lot in anime. The second thing is the use of the sus4 chord, kind of alternating between the sus4 and the major chord. Another common trick heard in Japanese music. Next, the progression goes from A minor to the F, but in a super cool way. So Marty Friedman is not just switching directly from the A minor to the F. He's introducing a bass note in between, this G. This is a popular technique known as voice leading in jazz, where instead of abruptly switching chords, you introduce a bass note in between that's closer to the next chord you're getting to. So in this case, we're trying to get to the F. So we play a bass note between G, which is the closest note in the key of C to the F. So it kind of smoothes out that transition. As we shall see, Japanese music takes a lot of inspiration from jazz. After that, it goes into this 2-5-1 jazzy progression. So a couple things happening here is taken from jazz. So number 1 is, again, 2-5-1 progression, probably the most common jazz progression. So it's D minor in this case, which is 2 in the key of C, and it goes to this F on G chord. And because G is the 5th note in the key of C, so 5, and then 1 back to the C. And another thing happening here is the use of 7th chord. So then here we have D minor 7 versus D minor. And then we kind of got this F on G chord in between. But then here we have C major 7 versus just a regular C. Again, Japanese music loves taking ideas from jazz, so they like taking this idea of using 7th chords from jazz. Finally, it's chord substitution. So instead of playing the F chord like this, they're switching, so Marty Friedman's switching up the bass note to make it a G. So it sounds kind of cooler and less expected. So this idea of playing a chord but then switching up the bass note of the chord is known as chord substitution, another popular technique used in jazz. Then we go into the 7 diminished to the major 3rd run. Another thing that makes this 7 to the 3 run sound Japanese and catchy is how they both share the same high melody note. So here we got the D, and here again on the E. Again, it's another jazz trick where to make the chords and the progression sound smoother and more similar to each other, you modify the chords so they share the same high melody note. So here comes my favorite part. We go into this super popular Japanese chord progression, the 6, 5 minor 1. So this is actually called the Marusa chord progression. It was made famous on the song Marunouchi Sadistic by Shina Ringo in the 90s. But it became really popular in recent years again, with really popular songs like YOASOBI's Idol using this progression too. I made a video about this recently, so check it out if you're interested. But here, we start off on the A minor chord, but we don't just play the regular open shape. We do this kind of cool bar chord shape, but except we let most of the notes ring out. We let most of the open strings ring out, except for these 2 fingers. Then we go to the 5th chord, but instead of playing the major version, like we would expect, we play the minor 5th before going back to the 1. So here it's super unexpected, and that's what makes this progression sound melancholic, because the 5th chord of a key is usually a major chord, not a minor chord. And with this progression, the 5 and the 1 are usually played in the same bar to emphasize that kind of melancholic feeling. We're in the home stretch now. So here we got this neat little trick where we go from the 4 major, F major, to 4 minor, F minor. So it goes like... It's a common Japanese trick usually used toward the end of a chord progression. So it's like, well, we used to be happy, like a major, but now we're gonna go home, so kind of sad, kind of feeling. Finally, we end the riff using the standard jazz 2-5-1 interval. So it goes like... So the chords and root notes go like 2-5, 2-5, 1. Well, more accurately, it's actually the 3, 6, 2-5, 1. But the interval is all the same, the 2-5-1 kind of diagonal pattern. And of course, ending the progression back on a 1 chord, the very beautiful C major 7 chord. Having broken down all the different tricks that Marty Friedman uses to sound Japanese, I thought I would actually improvise a quick part to show how you can actually apply all these different tricks to make your riff sound Japanese. Now, you don't necessarily have to use all the different tricks in one riff or one chord progression. Usually I like to just take inspiration, like just drop in a major third sometimes, play around with some 7th chords, or make a 4 major chord a 4 minor chord to spice up my playing. It's less about trying to sound super Japanese, but more about just making my playing more interesting and more fun. So hope you guys found something useful from this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.
I think that's the main difference is the chord progressions, and they use a lot of like kind of jazzy chords in Japanese pop music.